In 2022, someone read the news that Elizabeth Holmes had been sentenced to an 11-year prison term for the Theranos fraud. They picked up their phone and sent a text to a colleague, calling the sentence ridiculous. The person who sent that text was Charlie Javice. At the time, she was a 28-year-old startup founder who was quietly in the middle of orchestrating her own massive fabrication. 3 years later, a federal prosecutor stood in a Manhattan courtroom and read that exact text message aloud to a judge to argue for her imprisonment. Javice built a pristine public profile. She made the Forbes 30 Under 30 list by promoting her company Frank. The pitch was genuinely appealing, a platform designed to simplify the free application for federal student aid, the notoriously complex government form known as FAFSA that students must fill out to get college funding. By 2021, the largest bank in the United States came looking for a deal. JPMorgan Chase, led by CEO Jamie Dimon, was actively hunting for financial technology companies. They wanted a direct pipeline to college students, a highly valuable, long-term banking demographic. Believing Frank offered a massive, prepackaged audience, JPMorgan acquired the company for $175 million. Javice walked away with a personal payout of approximately $29 million. This acquisition transformed a startup founder into a JPMorgan managing director. At 28, she had become an insider at the world's most powerful financial institution, rewarded with a level of wealth and status that few people ever challenge. This chart shows what JPMorgan purchased. Frank possessed fewer than 300,000 real customers, but Javice claimed 4 million. To bridge the gap, she paid $18,000 to synthesize millions of fake student names with fabricated demographics. Javice handed this synthetic list over to the bank. JPMorgan deployed a due diligence team of roughly 300 investment bankers to vet the acquisition, yet they failed to verify if those specific email addresses belonged to actual humans. The scale of the oversight is striking. The rigorous defenses of a global banking giant were completely sidestepped by a fake document that cost less than a used car. The unraveling began with a routine marketing campaign. It was a simple administrative task that would prove far more effective than the bank's own multi-million-dollar due diligence process. After the ink dried, JPMorgan attempted to do exactly what they bought the company to do. They sent out a batch of promotional emails to 400,000 of their newly acquired student customers. Here is a visual representation of how that campaign performed. 70% of those messages immediately bounced back as undeliverable. The email addresses did not exist because the students did not exist. A $175 million corporate investment evaporated the moment someone hit send. The pressure to close a tech deal quickly had completely overridden the need to check basic facts. The fallout was swift. Javice was terminated for cause less than 14 months after the acquisition closed, and subsequently arrested by federal authorities. Jamie Dimon was left to publicly admit the deal was a massive mistake. 3 years later, Javice stood trial in a Manhattan federal courthouse. It was the exact building where Elizabeth Holmes had received her sentence. During the sentencing phase, the prosecution specifically cited Javice's 2022 text message about Holmes. They read it to the court to argue that Javice did not take the consequences of corporate deceit seriously, and they asked for 12 years. Judge Alvin Hellerstein sentenced her to 85 months in federal prison. He ordered her to forfeit $22 million in illegally obtained pay and pointedly described her crime as a biblical violation of just weights and measures. The practice of inflating numbers to secure venture capital has a strict legal boundary. When founders view millions of dollars in fabricated data as a standard business tactic, they inevitably generate the exact evidence needed to lock themselves away.